Let's talk about the book, well, the film. To have a character that's based, that so many people know, did you use the book as source material, or did you kind of put it aside and kind of wanted to create your version?
Well, I've done a few adaptations now, and after a while you have to put the book down because we're not recreating the book, we're recreating the screenplay. And if it's a good adaptation, which this one was, an amazing screenplay, you just use the book as reference if you need to. But there was so much in-depth information that we talked about and developed throughout the making of the film that I was able to rely quite heavily on the script, and obviously then the information from Tate, and you know, that really helps. So,
what kind of a director is Tate? Because the other two, I just talked to them. They said they loved working with him because he's really collaborative. He's really kind of working with you to kind of create this character while the film's going on. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because he comes from an acting background. You know, I think he understands actors like, well, the ones I've worked with, but from a personal point of view, I love to collaborate. I think the best performances come from having a dialogue with a director and the fellow actors, you know, because sometimes they see it in a different way than you, and it's very easy to read a scene and think, yeah, okay, I understand this. But actually, it could be interpreted in many different ways. And so by having an open dialogue and a collaborative experience with a director means that you sometimes can perform it in very many ways. And that's how it was for him and I. When I worked with Tate, it was really rewarding. And I like his way of directing because he gives you it makes you feel safe and comfortable. And, you know, some of that stuff we were doing was really difficult. You know, it was really, you know, awkward scenes and scenarios, and he never made it feel uncomfortable, and it was his responsibility to do that, and he did it very well.
Scott seems very volatile, and he's always like bubbling under the surface, and I'm just curious, like, how then do you kind of keep that as a base, and then play off scenes with Megan, and then you know, scenes with Rachel's character? I mean, like, to kind of play off these two women. How did you kind of, you know, do those scenes with
well, I mean, you just have to play the reality of the situation. I mean, if you were in that situation, in Scott's shoes, dealing with what he was going through, I think I'd be exactly the same as him. I would be frustrated and angry and, you know, in this absolute turmoil with a million questions and no answers, and being deceived constantly and finding out truths that you just don't want to know. And I think he struggles with it, and I think so would I.
To play with Emily in these, like, I love watching, you know, kind of these, because they're quite intimate. I'm just curious, like, what was it like working with her, and were there levels of her, you know, her drunkenness or her kind of like inability to be normal? Like, what was it like to observe?
She was great. She'd done an awful lot of work. She'd really done a huge amount of research into playing that sort of character accurately and respectfully, because it's a very, you know, it's something that you know, alcoholism is probably one of the biggest addictions in the world. People suffer from alcoholism all the time, and during usually a very bad moment in their life, they turn to alcohol, which is what Rachel does in the film. She's suffering from an addiction which is being fueled by the fact that she's unhappy, and she's struggling to accept that she doesn't have her husband anymore, and she's not in a relationship. And I felt the subtlety of Emily's performance throughout all of the scenes I had with her. You could see the work that she'd put in, and it was so easy to play off it, you know. And also, you know, I'm to deal with my character and his journey and what he'd been through, and so the two very broken people, you know, struggling to understand each other.